Kyle,
Yes.
UFC on ESPN 12. I think that's what they're calling it. Or UFC Apex 4. One of those two.
Or UFC Vegas.
Or UFC Vegas. It's got a lot of names.
Which
but
is
I gotta
stupid
ask,
because there's been a million UFC events in Vegas.
I've heard this was the first one.
That's
This
false.
is the only one they've ever had.
False
in Vegas.
information. I can't confirm that is not true.
I think Vegas is like the fight capital. To be honest with you, it just seems like Dana White's favorite area.
It is.
Oh man, you know how he
MMA and
likes
boxing.
to gamble.
Lots of fights in Vegas, and drunk people on the street with police.
Yeah, but it adds to the whole character of the show. You know, it just works.
Yeah, I mean, hey, prostitution's legal, so you can do just about anything.
Oh my god,
it
is. That's why Dana fucking loves it so much. He always gets accused of like prostitution and shit like that, and I never realized why.
I wonder if prostitution's legal on Fight Island.
Oh, dude, there's a reason why he's not leaving Fight Island. He's just staying on Fight Island.
Yeah, he said he's staying there for a bit.
I don't blame him.
To see like the first few events go, you know.
I'm surprised he didn't like go to last night's event though. That is weird. I haven't seen a fight night without Dana White.
Hey man, he has to go on Fight Island and drink cucumber water or whatever the hell he was doing on Instagram the other day.
Don't forget the way he said it. Cucumber. Stares at the camera for like 10 seconds. Doesn't shut off.
In case you didn't know what a cucumber is, cucumber.
What do you think he was drinking out of there? More cucumbers? It's just a cucumber master.
Inside of cucumbers? No, it was definitely like fucking tequila.
Oh, he was probably plastered. You can kind of tell by his face.
Wasted.
He was just not. He was not with it.
He is jacked. Dana got big. He's on that Vitor Belfort,
I think
Alistair Overeem horse meat diet.
I feel like at that age you kind of have to be.
How old is he? 50s?
I mean, his lifestyle, his amount of anger, I feel
he
like
might
has
as well
aged
be
him.
83.
Yeah, literally, yeah, I 100%. But I believe he's late 50s, I would say. So based on his level of stress throughout his life, I'd give him 65 is an actual age. Because oh man,
Let's see.
He's mad.
50.
Dana,
he's 50 on the dot.
What? Dude, he's not aging well then.
I don't know.
I would have said.
I think he looks all right.
Have you really looked at him though? Like look in his eyes and see the pain.
Dude, I would kill to be Dana for a day. I would kill you. Like I would literally just like come up behind you and snap your neck.
I would ask you to kill me for that kind of opportunity. That just doesn't come up very often, you know? Like when did you have the last opportunity where Dana White says, "Kill that man and you will become me"? Like that is
I
you gotta
would
take
100% do it. No question.
You gotta take that.
No question. I would kill you so quickly.
I feel like I'd rather have like Mick Maynard's job or Sean Shelby. Just someone like behind the scenes more that just kind of like chills with Dana and drinks cucumber juice.
Yeah.
Creates fights. Instead of getting on the front lines and getting roasted by all the fans.
When a lot of the drama and controversy happens, it doesn't get directed towards those guys. It gets directed towards him.
Maybe we should start directing it towards them. Because Dana White can't really do anything wrong, so obviously it's not him.
They seem like decent guys, to be honest.
I don't know, man. I didn't see any cucumbers over there.
They do a great job at bringing in new talent. They really do. I mean,
they brought in that 20-year-old woman that fought last night. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I can't either. But she did a great job. She was inspired by Ronda Rousey to join MMA, and then she gets an armbar victory. How poetic! And
Ronda even messaged her or made a tweet about her or something and even congratulated her. She's like, "I'll be watching you, kid. Nice armbar." Yeah.
Wow.
That must be exciting
for being a nice person. When does that happen?
It's been over 5 years since she last fought. Doesn't that sound weird? Or maybe 5 years since she won. Sounds weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like time is passing by way too fast.
I feel like it's definitely not been 5 years since Amanda beat her into oblivion.
I think I'm thinking of the last time she actually won a fight, which is I can't even remember that. Has she even won any fights?
Never.
Ronda?
Never.
I don't think she has.
No, not a single one.
Weird. So UFC on ESPN 12. What are your thoughts on that card as a whole?
It was awesome. It was great. Great main event, great co-main event, um, great prelims. Yeah, everything was great. I mean, hey, we gotta talk about Dustin Poirier and Dan Hooker. I mean, you can't say you can't say too many nice things about those guys. I mean, uh, just what we saw in there, that was just remarkable. That is high level MMA at its finest. That is the elite of the elite. This is why we say 155 is the greatest division in the UFC. I mean, it was just an elite technical striking match with some awesome groundwork mixed in that I don't think any of us anticipated. I mean, Dan had some wonderful takedowns. I mean, really, really nice, well timed takedowns. And then Dustin had some awesome submission attempts off his back, and we were treated to some great scrambling. Yeah, I mean, that's just the best of the best. You can't beat that. You can't. It doesn't get better than that. Professional fighting does not get better than that. It really doesn't. I don't care if it's boxing, kickboxing, MMA. It does not get better than that. That is top tier fighting right there. Like it, the only kind of striking that comes close to that in boxing, in terms of just being really entertaining, is watching Tyson Fury. Like especially in the second Deontay Wilder fight, like that is just beautiful to watch. It's just masterful work, right? That's what this was from both guys. Um, Even though Dan Hooker lost, I don't think like anyone is going to look at Dan Hooker and be like, "Oh man, that guy, throw him to the back of the lightweight rankings. He doesn't have it." No, no. I mean, Dan Hooker earned just as much respect in this fight as Dustin did, even as the guy that lost. The next person that fights both guys, you have to give both of them a very high level, high ranking, big profile opponent next. Both of them. Dan Hooker, I don't really know who you. Maybe a Paul Felder rematch because that fight was so controversial. You know, the decision. I personally think Paul Felder won, but I'm also a huge Paul Felder fan, so I'm extremely biased. But a lot of people think Paul Felder won that fight, so it was a close decision. So maybe run that back, and then Dustin. I think maybe give him Tony Ferguson, and if he beats Tony Ferguson or whoever wins that fight, the Dustin and Tony Ferguson fight goes on to fight who wins against or the winner of Justin and Khabib. Give him a lightweight title shot.
Now that is an interesting matchup right there. I think any way that could go, we're gonna have some
Dustin
good fights.
And Tony.
Yeah, imagine Dustin, Tony, and then whoever wins that fight. I mean, I'm gonna hope it's Tony, just because of Tony Khabib. But we can get Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. That would be kind of crazy. Poirier versus Khabib we already saw, but I mean, he landed some good strikes against Khabib, and he almost got him in that guillotine. What I find funny about
almost had
Poirier is that
I'm thinking of Hooker. Never mind. Sorry. Go ahead.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Dan Hooker's arm was hyperextended for a solid 5 seconds straight, and that man just did not care. I mean, I'm sure it hurt him like horribly, but he just kept on moving.
Rolled right
he got out of it
like a pro.
What's weird about Dustin Poirier is that he seems like he has these fantastic, right on the money guillotine chokes, whether it's with Khabib or with Dan Hooker, and for some reason it seems like it's locked in. Fight's over, they just pop right out of it. I don't know why.
I think it's
weird.
They're because those guys, Dan Hooker and Khabib, obviously are the top 1%. You know, I think 99% of people that it's a fight ender. But those guys are just great. He for one of the guillotine chokes, Dan did this great thing where he just picked his whole body up and started like bouncing, basically trying to like shimmy his way out of the choke and bouncing Dustin off the floor of the octagon. It was really clever little move he did to bounce out of that choke. And then Khabib, obviously, like, you want to get a submission on Khabib, you better be like you better be just the greatest. Like I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't happen with that guy. He not only does he not lose, but he definitely doesn't lose by submission. I mean, I think if you want to beat Khabib, you really have to either put him out or just fight really really technically and play it safe and outpoint him to a decision victory. I don't know how many people on this planet could beat Khabib Nurmagomedov on the ground. That's like that's a crazy
I
crazy feat if you
feel
manage
like
that. But
there's
yeah, you're
one.
right. Dustin, he gets so close to getting these subs. I mean, he had like 3 last night where he got real close. No, it was like 4. It was
He had
two
a couple guillotines
it
in
was
there
two.
as
It
well.
was at least 2 guillotines that almost got in. At least 2. Might have been 3. There was the armbar, and then when Dan rolled out of the armbar, he almost got it. He almost got him with an omoplata. That got real close as well. Like he got.
I think the fight ended, or the round ended right before he can really make something work out of it, right?
Yeah. He was. It seemed like he was trying to crank the omoplata, and then
Yeah.
that was about the end of the round. But yeah, who expect? I think we all thought like, okay, this is gonna be a crazy good striking match. Who thought the scrambling and the groundwork would be so entertaining? Like it was really fun to watch, man.
I going into that fight, I knew it would be good, but I didn't think it would be fight of the year. But I'm really thinking that it's fight of the year right
You
now
think it's better
because
than
I
Zhang and Joanna?
I would say so,
Yeah.
just because I'm bigger fans of these two than I am of them.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of biased, but I mean we're all biased. So
Hmm.
take your pick. Both of those fights are fantastic. I just think this one comes out on top, based on the people fighting. But I was standing up for I think the last 4 rounds. I was just enamored by the level of skill that we were seeing on the screen. I I think that it was 2-2 going into the fifth round, and
Yeah.
the suspense was just killing me.
Yeah.
And to see some of these people so evenly matched up, it's just insane. I think it really comes down to the experience of Dustin Poirier, because Dustin's been in there with some real bad men. I don't know if you heard of Khabib Nurmagomedov or Max Holloway, but he just has that
Yeah.
experience that Dan Hooker doesn't have. And I know
Yeah.
Dan's got some good names under his belt, like Quinta, but it's just not up to the level of Poirier. And I mean, you saw at the end of the fifth round, Dan Hooker just collapsed to the ground. He was just sitting down, exhausted, and Poirier was just walking around, smiling, having a good time. He seemed like I think he even said he had a few more in him, and it kind of
Yeah.
seemed that way. So I think the fifth round there was the most suspenseful and basically the determining factor on who won that fight. And I gotta hand it to Dustin. That cardio, that's insane.
Yeah.
The level of
I
output is just insane for how tired they both were.
I
You
I
know what I mean?
also think it was 2-2 going into the fifth. I gave the first 2 rounds to Dan Hooker, and then the third and fourth to Dustin Poirier, and I think that was, like you said, the experience. Dustin started to make some great adjustments throughout the fight. In the beginning, Dan was using his range brilliantly because he had the reach advantage, and I seriously thought that reach was it based solely off those first 2 rounds. I thought that reach was going to be the deciding factor because Dan was doing a great job at staying on the outside, moving around, and picking apart Dustin from a range. He was throwing some nice low calf kicks very early in the fight that was really hindering Dustin's movement, and he was just sticking that jab out there, uh, just keeping Dustin at bay. But then as the fight progressed, Dustin started to nullify that range and really move in. Turned it into more of a dirty boxing match, more of a brawl, getting on the inside, pushing him up against the fence, clinching up with him. And then Dan started making adjustments for that and started going for takedowns. And then just Dustin started going for sub attempts. It was just this this really back and forth battle where there was an advantage, and then one guy made an adjustment to nullify that advantage, and then the next guy made an adjustment to nullify that adjustment, and it was just that's just brilliant work and brilliant fight IQ, and like I said, just the highest level of this sport. Not just it's not just a striking match, it's not just a wrestling match, it's not just a jiu-jitsu match. It is all of these things being brought together and being used in a really coherent way where each person is using his well-rounded skill set to nullify some sort of advantage that the other guy is using. It was just, like I said, just I can't use another word besides brilliant, because it was just really, really brilliant work from both guys. Such high level fight IQ, such high level adjustment making and decision making. And I was really happy with the decision. I told you, because we were texting during the fight, and I was very nervous about it going to a decision, because I realized what we were seeing was so beautiful and was so important for the sport of mixed martial arts. Like this is uh, not this was like a once in a lifetime kind of fight. Like I was watching it and I was like, oh, we're experiencing history right now. Like this is history in the making. This is truly something. This is really significant. And I was very nervous about it going to the judges, because while Nevada judges tend to be better than most places, I was like, oh my God, please don't ruin this. Please don't fuck all this up and turn and make this the story of the fight, because I just didn't want the judges to ruin this perfect thing that we were seeing, and instead of talking about how just magnificent of a fight it was and how great Dan Hooker and Dustin Poirier are, we're talking about how bad the judges are and how poorly they messed up. But that wasn't the case. They made the right call. They gave Dustin the nod. It was close, but I do think Dustin pulled away at the end there. And yeah, so the judges did a great job. Referee did an outstanding job at just uh, officiating that fight, keeping everyone safe, but letting them go. Yeah, it was just great all around. I have no complaints about that fight. It was a terrific main event, and we expected it. I think we all knew going into that fight, oh, this is gonna be something. This is gonna be a spicy main event, and it lived up to it. So hats off to those guys.
That's like the UFC fans' dream main event. A lot of main events don't go that way.
Absolutely.
Such as last week's. I mean, you saw Curtis Blades. He put on a good performance, but entertaining, not as much. This was just a firefight from start to finish, and like you said, Dustin just making perfect adjustments. Dan Hooker making adjustments on top of his adjustments, and it was just this chess match that we got to just spectate for 25 minutes. And I almost feel like I didn't deserve to watch that fight. That should be reserved to
well,
people.
That's how I felt about the judges. I was like, you guys
Yeah.
don't deserve to decide this. You don't deserve to decide who wins this. This is too good for you. But they made the right call, so I should shut the fuck up, I guess.
Yeah, they one of them gave Dustin the two, or I think it was a 49-46 or something like that.
Yeah,
or 49,
there was
like
one
that.
weird score in there.
But other than that, I mean, perfect.
Yeah.
I couldn't ask for a better main event. These two guys are just so talented. It really makes you think how untalented you are when you're seeing these magical specimens go in there and do this like, for example, Dustin would get himself against the fence and he would just get pounded by Dan Hooker's straights and hooks, and he would just fire right back off of the cage every single time. I feel like the difference between a lot of fighters and Dustin Poirier is that he never stops. He never gives the opponent their time to start being aggressive and move in. He's always just striking and countering and feinting and just doing something. And the level of activity there is so high, and his cardio just allows him to do it. And I can't imagine what conditioning he went through to get something like that done and still have a couple more rounds left in him.
Yeah, it wasn't just the volume either, too. It was the accuracy. His striking
70%.
Yeah,
I
it was
think?
like 76% or some shit like that.
76.
Like, what are you
And
talking
Dan Hooker's
about?
not easy to hit. I mean, I don't think
No.
Ali Quinta hit him like once.
Especially
I mean, obviously he did, but
especially at that range,
Yeah, he's got the reach advantage.
He's got those long arms to keep you at bay. Long
Yeah,
legs.
and he just found his way. Every time he would throw a combination, he would just take these large steps right in, and I feel like Dan just couldn't back up enough. My favorite adjustment would have to be the fact that Dustin Poirier stopped going for those guillotine attempts, because I feel like a lot of what went wrong in Dustin's part of the match was he would get shot on by Dan Hooker, and he would immediately just go to that guillotine and almost look like he was pulling guard and going for the guillotine. And every single time he did that, it would lead to Dan Hooker getting out of it and then being in the dominant position. And I think that cost him most of the fight, of what he did lose. And I think when I think it was the fourth round when that same situation happened, Dan Hooker goes in for the shoot, he grabs him. You could tell he was getting ready to go for the guillotine, and then he kind of like stopped himself and started stuffing the takedowns instead of trying to capitalize on them.
Yeah, like
and I feel like
he was aware enough
yeah,
to realize like, hey, Dan is scoring points here with these takedowns, and and these guillotines aren't really panning out to anything. So let me focus on takedown defense rather than submission attempts. That's a good point.
I feel like a lot of that stemmed from training for Khabib, because you got to think like, it's Khabib, I'm probably going to get taken down, so maybe just let him take me down and get the guillotines. That's probably a higher chance of victory. But you gotta hand it to him. Masterful adjustments, even other than that, even in the striking department, in the ground game. Just, oh man, it's perfect. And he even said in his post-fight interview that he could have done better. He was disappointed with his performance, and I was just enamored by this man's expectations for himself. You could tell he's got this confidence and this heart that he can't even prove to the world.
He got on the mic and he was like, I am not impressed with your performance.
Yeah, he GSP'd himself. And we're all sitting here like, that was the greatest thing we ever saw. And he's like, nah, wasn't that great. I could do better.
GSP tweets out a video. Hey, Dustin, I am not impressed with your performance. Were you intoxicated?
I think GSP's coming out of retirement to show this man what wrestling's all about.
GSP is the nicest fighter who ever lived.
Yeah.
He could never talk shit like
I think Dustin's a nice dude too.
Oh, Dustin is a great
attitude.
Dude. Great guy. He's getting that Forrest Griffin Community Award, which is really nice because he does so much fucking charity work. Him and his wife. Yeah, he's a terrific dude. It's so awesome to think about. Not just how far the sport of MMA has evolved, but seeing these guys that at one time were known for losing to Conor McGregor. That was their biggest claim to fame at one time. Is these guys lost to the most popular star in the sport. And I'm referring, of course, to Dustin as well as Max Holloway. And now they're some of the most elite people you will ever see in the octagon. Whereas, Conor appears every 2 years or so.
I think the current Dustin would probably smash Conor.
Dude.
He's just too good, too active, too skilled.
Yeah.
I mean, think about Dustin from back then and Dustin now, and oh man, I know Conor's probably gotten a little better too, but he's just nowhere near as active. And meanwhile, Dustin is just acting as a freight train, and just, oh man.
Yeah, it's so cool to see these guys just. Yeah, I mean, Dustin's been fighting for about a decade now, which is insane, and to just see their growth, it's really awesome. Good for them. I mean,
I'd like to see Dan Hooker rematch Justin Gaethje again, because I'm fairly certain that Dan Hooker defeated Justin Gaethje, right, by a devastating.
Did he?
Okay, I believe it was a TKO.
So.
I believe so. I was watching the promotional content for Dan Hooker up to this fight, and he was battering Justin Gaethje, and it looked like a one-sided fight. Now Justin always turns that stuff around, but I feel like if Justin loses this match with Khabib, I feel like that sets him right up for that rematch eventually.
Yeah, that would be
and I want to see that. That's what I want to see, because Justin Gaethje is a different fighter from when he fought him the first time.
Yeah.
That's
another guy who has evolved just beautifully, and in a very short time.
It's really impressive, because you think these guys are just, you think they would hit their plateau. Like you can only get so good, and then they just keep getting better and better. It really shows you this modern age of MMA. These these people are specimens. You could study these guys in labs, and the scientists would have no idea what's
And
going on here.
I hear a lot of analysts and commentators and things say that the reason we are seeing such high level mixed martial arts in the last few years is a big part of it is people no longer, for the most part, generally speaking, people no longer train boxing and then get into MMA. They don't train wrestling and then they get into MMA. They train MMA right from the start, you know? They they come from they don't come necessarily from this certain discipline or specialization. They start with the mixed martial art. That they train all these disciplines together because the sport has become more mainstream. uh, and that's not always true. I mean, you look at someone like Israel Adesanya, who comes from a kickboxing background, and it shows. It shows that Israel is not a guy that necessarily trained all of these disciplines a little bit. He trained his striking is the elite of the elite. I mean, it's very obvious he came from a kickboxing background when you watch him fight. But yeah, it's so cool to see. And I think the coaching staff, coaching and gyms have just improved so much in the last few years. We have just these. I mean, look at City Kickboxing, right? I mean, those guys. Think about how far those guys have. Those New Zealanders have come in the They were definitely the gym of 2019. I mean, you had two world champions. You had Israel and you had Alexander Volkanovski, and of course Dan Hooker is also from that gym. I mean, City Kickboxing has just got some of the most elite strikers in the world right now. You look at ATT, you look at AKA, you look at who am I, Jackson Wink. I mean, this is what these gyms have just become a real great haven for just the highest skilled fighters. And speaking of terrific coaching, we had uh, we had some terrific coaching last night in Mike Perry's corner. The coaching that would rival that of Trevor Whitman or uh, Greg Jackson. Just some great corner work. Did you enjoy that corner work, Matthew?
I thought her advice, hit him in the face, was very simple and yet effective. And it really goes to show that someone like Mike Perry might not even need I mean, he obviously had a small training camp before he left them, but it really goes to show how talented he is, even without a gym, without a coach. Or, flip side, maybe she is just a fantastic coach all along, a dark horse in the coaching.
Here's the thing about Mike Perry's girlfriend, Latori Gonzales. She did nothing wrong in terms of cornering. She did everything right. There's a few things you could do. You could like a few really egregious mistakes you can make as a corner person. You could just give terrible advice. She didn't do that. She just didn't give any advice. So she didn't give bad advice. I mean, hit him in the face, keep going. Hey, that's solid advice.
She did say keep your hands up too, which is
Yeah,
actually good advice because he wasn't, and then he
good.
did.
She didn't throw the fight too early or too late. It didn't come to that. What else? What else? What else could you do as a corner person that's really bad? She wasn't barking orders the entire time
Yes.
like some corners do, and just overwhelm their fighter. Yeah, she was great. She did everything right. Who cares? She did a fine job. Yeah, I guess when you're a guy like Mike Perry and you have that much experience, you don't necessarily need people telling you what to do. You kind of just know. I was very surprised by him. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't expect that. I thought Mickey Gall was gonna get him on the ground and just wrap him up and choke him out. I
I feel like
really
Mike
thought.
Perry's strength advantage was way too much for Mickey
Oh
to deal
yeah,
with because Mickey was obviously the more technical guy, but he couldn't do much because Mike Perry's just his
pick
arms,
him up and
they're way
slam
too
him
big.
down. Yeah, dude.
At the one time he went for that takedown and Mickey Gall was grabbing onto the fence and it didn't even matter. Mike Perry just ripped him right off and
Yeah,
slammed him. It's just this guy's
Mike's
naturally strong.
takedown defense as well was just pure strength.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and
sometimes that's all you need.
and his strikes were obviously hitting with a lot more pop than Mickey's. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he looked good. Mike Perry looked good. He called out the tax man after the fight. Really
Oh,
appreciated that. He said, "Hey, IRS, you're taking everything I work for, motherfucker. I'll fight your fucking ass." um,
pretty sure he admitted to some tax fraud in that post-fight interview,
yeah,
but we're
that
not
was
gonna go into that.
no.
He
John
basically just said, "I had a good fight, but now I gotta go fight the tax people."
John Anik was just standing there like, "Holy shit, what do I do? What do I do in this post-fight interview?" He kept going, man. He was just talking a lot. He was just like, "Yeah, so it was a good fight. Haters on social media, go fuck yourselves. Tax man, I'm coming for you next. You're not getting the red panty night." Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's reasonable. Ask for less taxes in your post-fight interview.
Mm-hmm.
You might even get that.
Well, Ben Askren gave some advice afterwards on Twitter. I don't know exactly what it was, or I mean I read it, but I don't remember it. Basically telling fighters how you should proceed with that kind of thing, with taxes and investing your money and whatnot. Ben Askren's a very smart guy. You know, no matter how badly his brain was sent to the moon by Jorge Masvidal's knee, he's a
And
very
Robbie
smart guy.
Lawler's slam. Oof.
Yeah, that was that. I thought he was
Oh,
dead after
I
that.
thought yeah.
But yeah. Uh, Mike Perry looked good. Latori Gonzales looked better.
Yeah, and in the post-fight show, um, I forgot to mention, unfortunately, Dan Hooker and Dustin Poirier were rushed to the hospital, so no post-fight press conference for them. They were battered. I think Hooker was immediately launched into an ambulance as soon as he left that octagon.
Yeah.
Um, that's what some of the commentators were saying. But in Mike Perry's post-fight interview, he mentioned a few odd things. Most odd being that he said he did more relaxing
Mhm.
than training, and I don't know if you saw it, but I think he said even some would say I didn't train at all for this fight.
I did hear that. Dude, he is so funny. Holy shit.
Hey man, I
That's
feel like
exactly how he said it too. He goes, "Some would say I didn't even train at all."
I feel like overtraining is a big problem in the MMA world because your body can't handle a lot of what you give it when you're this kind of athlete. You see that with the injuries and these hip replacements and all this
Yeah.
crazy stuff. So maybe resting like that or not training to someone who just is naturally gifted is not the worst idea.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think uh, I think it was a good idea.
a common counter argument we hear when we talk about like cornering and coaching and stuff, that when we say, oh, that corner, they or that coach made the wrong decision or they made the wrong call there, a big counter argument we hear is, well, they know their athlete better than anyone. I think that's kind of bullshit. I think the athlete knows the athlete better than anyone. So like when a person says I'm done or I'm training too much or I'm not training enough, like I tend to believe them. When Mike Perry says, I think I was training too much in the past, and this time I did some, more relaxation than I did, like really hard training. Yeah, man. I mean, you know your body. You know how you feel when you wake up in the morning. Do what you think is best for you. I'm not saying all coaching and cornering is useless and that you don't need some There are definitely guys who need regiment. Like I could imagine if I was training or if I was fighting, I would not be self-disciplined enough to um do like adequate training and eat right and make sure I'm doing everything correctly. I'm sure a lot of guys need that kind of structure in their lives and they need that authority figure to keep them on track, especially if it's a really skilled coach, like like I was saying, like Trevor Whitman or Greg Jackson or whoever. Yeah, I guess it depends on the person. Mike Perry, maybe he is self-disciplined and experienced enough to know, like, I should be doing this thing this day and not doing this thing, and eating this and not eating that, and training today and not training tomorrow. And so hey, it worked out last night. The proof is in the pudding. As never mind. I was gonna make a bad joke. I shouldn't say that. But
We're all about that here.
well, every time I hear pudding, I think of Bill Cosby. So
Oh, tastes just like Jello pudding.
Oh no.
Oh.
Man, that was a good impression, Matt. Yeah, we'll cut that part out, but hey, Mike Perry, you
What
look
was wrong
great.
with it?
Mike Perry looked great. His girlfriend, she's pretty cute. She's like 10 years younger than him, but that's okay.
She's like 10 years old.
Here's something interesting that he said in the post-fight interview. He goes, well, I think it was Brett Okamoto asked, like, hey, Latori, like, when did you know you were going to be cornering and stuff? And Mike Perry was like, man, I told her years ago she would be doing this. Excuse me, Mike, years ago you were still with another woman. You were engaged. What are you talking about, man? He's been with this girl for like a few months.
Clearly, there's some overlap here that we're not getting the full story of.
Oh man,
we need some private detectives to figure out what's going on here.
He is entertaining.
I love Mike Perry. I think he's a psychopath, but I love him so much.
Yeah, he ain't. Here's something to think about though. Like, I respect her for being, when she was asked in after the fight. I think it was by Brett Okamoto. Excuse me. That like, hey, how much MMA experience do you have? And she was like, well, I wrestled in high school and I trained at a boxing gym, but other than that, not a whole lot. I respect the honesty. I respect the honesty. I respect the fact that you're not standing up there with no experience being like, oh, actually, I am somewhat of an expert on the subject, and giving Mike Perry all this shit advice and stuff. You know who she's not? She's not Diego Sanchez's coach. She's not Josh Fabia. She's not like some charlatan that is pretending to be this, this god of combat, and just leading Mike Perry in all the wrong directions. It seems like she knows I don't want to say she knows her place because that sounds so fucking sexist, but
even if it was a dude, I mean, with no experience, you kind of know your place when you're not pushing yourself where you don't belong, and she didn't do that.
Yeah, she wasn't like inserting herself into this. It seemed Mike Perry wanted her there. She was there. She was moral support. She was given little bits of very obvious advice, but good advice nonetheless. Hey, good for her. She did great work. Mike Perry did great work as well. Looked terrific last night. I hope they live happily together, and hope to see that stellar team again sometime soon. Mike Perry said maybe we'll think about bringing in 2 more people to lead into the little inner circle that they have. So that'll be interesting. He was saying they want to like go on a beach somewhere. He's we're gonna go on a beach, drink some Mai Tais, and maybe we'll get like 2 more people. It sounded almost in a roundabout way he was talking about like opening his own gym or something like that, and like
on the beach,
starting his own team, or maybe he'll move to Fight Island and like create his own
tribe.
Yeah. That would be cool. That would be really cool. But yeah, Mike Perry, Latori Gonzales, I hope they enjoy their Mai Tais on the beach. I hope they have a good life together. I hope they're still together next week.
It's up in the air. Who knows? Maybe the tax man will take Mike away and she'll never see him again.
What's he talking about going on a beach when he's got the tax man coming in?
He said he has debts in other countries. I feel like it's more extensive than he's putting out. Dude, I'm kind of worried about him.
Wesley Snipes and Al Capone are hitting him up right now. Like, Mike, don't do it. Don't do it. The tax man's coming. You can't beat him, Mike.
We got to start a GoFundMe for Mike. What do you think the Platinum Princess thinks about all of this? And what happened?
I don't know, man.
I heard from a few people that probably don't know anything that like she was fooling around with his coaches and stuff, so she fucking left both parties. But I don't know, like that. I mean, I'm talking about like Reddit comments and like I don't know what happened.
So utter bullshit. So we're talking about utter shit and potentially really sensitive information, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's a theory. But I don't think there's any weight behind it, so it's kind of just speculation at this point. But I'm surprised he hasn't come out and said anything. Being such an open guy, he'd probably like, yeah, that bitch cheated on me. I went somewhere else and I started relaxing. But he didn't say anything about it, which is maybe he just wants to leave that part of his life behind and not even talk about it. And I respect that.
Yeah, hey,
You know?
that's his right. Mike Perry, you do you, my man.
Yeah, man, he looked different in this fight, obviously. But he looked good, like you were saying. And
In what way do you think he looked? Do you mean like appearance-wise, or you mean like just his style?
Fighting style, he looked much more stiff. And I
You
think
think?
that might have been him just conserving energy and kind of chilling out because he didn't really need to move around that much. I mean, Mickey Gall had this nervous energy aura around him when he was just shaking like uncontrollably and just moving at the speed of light in all different directions. And
Yeah.
that's great for him, but if you look at both of them, Mike Perry was just cool as a cucumber, as a Dana White.
Yeah.
And he was just perfectly content with just walking him down,
Yeah.
not using head movement and just trading. And it worked for him.
Yeah, Mickey was on the retreat a lot. And I think Mike Perry's relaxed demeanor was not just because on the feet he was obviously very superior, but even when they went to the grounds, he was facing very little adversity. He was dominating on the ground. His just raw strength and power was taking over.
Those elbows he was landing on the ground. Oh,
yeah, he's got some
that
mean elbows.
hurt, man. He's got the. Remember what he did to? I forget which fighter it was. Something John something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Flatlined him with one elbow in the clinch. Just killed him. Just collapsed out of. Oh man. But the dude just has this talent, and I can't wait to see if he finds proper coaches, because obviously his coaches from before not compatible. So if he gets some proper coaches with Latori Gonzales, this is a champion right here.
It's an unstoppable team.
Unless you add Cowboy Cerrone in the mix, and then he just falls apart.
Oh,
It's like his kryptonite.
damn.
But I think he was even competitive in that fight until he went to the ground for some unforeseen reason.
Dad
But
Cerrone
yeah.
got that armbar.
That picture of him getting that armbar with that expression on Cowboy's face was just that was a 1,000-word picture right there.
I love Cowboys so much.
Who does Mike Perry fight now?
I have no idea. Let's look at the welterweight rankings. That's why we pulled them up, right?
You know what? You got a point. You're here for a reason, so.
Man, dude, is he unranked? That seems.
I believe so.
That seems.
I think he was like number 15 until he fought Cowboy Cerrone, and then he got kicked off, and then Cowboy got kicked off as well.
I don't know. Maybe
Oh,
give him
wait.
like fucking Robbie Lawler, someone, or Anthony Pettis, or I don't know. The Vicente Luque fight was a classic. He got his nose pushed to the other side of his face, but hey, that nose looks pretty good now. It got fixed.
I think it's even better than before. Maybe you give him someone like Robbie Lawler coming off a loss.
Yeah.
He's number 13. I don't know. That's a tough choice because Mickey Gall, not the most talented fighter. He can hold his own, but I don't know. It's not like Mike Perry beat obviously a ranked opponent here. You know what I mean? I'm curious to see what would happen if he fought someone like Robbie Lawler, who's kind of on his way out, but is still extremely dangerous at the same time.
Yeah.
I love you, Robbie, but
no, he's definitely
he's
not in his
he's
prime
getting older,
anymore.
you know? Yeah, it happens, you know? For someone like me, you get out of your prime immediately, and you never get to your prime.
So, before we wrap up, and the reason I am talking about wrapping up already is because, you see, Matthew, I have my coffee, and the coffee's hitting me right now as we speak.
I got you, brother. I got you.
And it's getting a little difficult to sit here. So any last minute
I think Gian Vellante, fight of the night, right there. He came in 295 pounds, looking great.
He didn't look terrific.
That was a weird fight, man.
It was.
Both fighters didn't look terrific, but I mean they're still great fighters, obviously. But I didn't really want to talk about it. I just wanted to make fun of Gian Vellante.
Aww. On the other side of heavyweight, Tanner Boser, I thought looked really good. I am saying his name right,
Yeah.
correct? He had that awesome knockout, dude, against
Yeah.
Felipe Lins, and then he called out Maurice Green, and then Maurice Green lost an entire fight, and then won the submission at the a really weird submission at the end. Uh, um, and then was like, "Hey, Tanner Boser, you wanna come get it?" I thought Tanner Boser had a really entertaining post fight interview. If you didn't hear it, I would go back and listen to it on the prelims. He he was basically saying, you know, just make sure you send my bonus check to the same bank account, and I don't think he got a bonus check. Unfortunate, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, it was an outstanding knockout. But hey Matt, you should wrap it up because I got
You didn't mention Herb Dean's takedown,
Oh
brother.
yeah, Herb Dean, great gator roll he did. That was awesome.
That was fantastic. All right, well, this has been Caffeinated Combat, UFC on ESPN number 12, whatever they're calling it.
I gotta go to the
Thank you for
bathroom
watching.
So bad.
Kyle is a 5-year-old who can't hold his bladder.
No, it's not. It's not bladder, buddy.
Oh no. We'll see you guys later.
That's
Have
what
a good
coffee
one.
does.
Oh,
We're
shit.
caffeinated today.
Oh
Woohoo!
fuck.